What's happening, Carolina fans? Welcome to Two Fans in the Stands, a podcast related to all things Carolina Panthers and North Carolina Tar Heels. I'm your co-host Tony.
And I'm your co-host CJ.
Let's go. CJ, football season is once again upon us, my brother. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Look to your neighbor and say, won't he do it?
Won't he do it?
Yes, sir, indeed. The 2022 NFL preseason kicked off this weekend for the Carolina Panthers as they were victorious over the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Hey, CJ, how you feeling today, my brother?
I'm feeling great. I know it's only a preseason game and it doesn't count towards anything in the grand scheme, but I'm always happy for a Carolina win.
Hey,
Always.
a W is a W. No matter how we get it, it's always a good way to start off the season. Like you say, even though it's just a preseason game. But listen, give us your overall impression of the game.
My overall impression of the game, it was a good game and I liked it. Okay.
Right,
We were, first preseason game, everybody's kind of out there just feeling around seeing who is going to stand out, differentiate themselves from the other players. You know, um, the offensive defense, they were running kind of vanilla schemes. Not a lot of blitzing. I think I may have saw maybe one blitz from us. Um, Not a whole lot of flash and excitement on offense. Basic plays, basic route running. But in the grand scheme of things, it looked it looked good. I liked it. I liked the way the offensive line protected Baker on that first drive. Minus Michael Jordan. I was looking at him right off the bat when they announced
that
the starting
dude.
lineups. Yes, exactly that guy. I was looking at him right off the bat, and he did not look comfortable out there um, at all. But overall, once I think they get the line, narrow it down to who they want on the start as the starters, I think it would be decent. I think it would be a definite improvement from last year. The first string defense, I like what
Right.
they did. They played good. They played consistent. I think when Carson Wentz led that touchdown drive, I think most of our second string defense was in at that point, and I want to say some of their starters on offense for the Commanders were in at that point still.
Yeah, I believe
But
so.
yeah, but I was happy with the first string defense. Now, later on in the game, when it got down to the third and fourth string, and you could tell they were gassed. They were
Yeah,
tired.
yeah.
I think it was not Phil Hoskins, but number 69, I believe it is. I forgot his name, but
Frank
he got
Herring.
hit. Frank Herring, that's it. He
Yeah,
was on the ground one time, and I seen him look up, and the other defensive lineman had to get him up,
I'm
and then
tired, boss.
he looked to the sidelines and was like, "Let me out the game, coach. Let me out the game. Let me out the game." I think Matt Rule then was like, "Nah, man, stay your butt in the game. You ain't coming out right now." He put his hands on his hip like, man, here we go. But
Yeah.
I think this is what these type of games are for. You see that, and like I said, those are the things that are going to differentiate you from other players, whether that be good or bad. But overall, I was happy. I'm always happy with the W, and let me know what you think about the game.
Well, I was glad to see the offense move the ball and sustain some long drives. That was one of the major concerns I had and wanted to see um, change as far as a potential to as a potential upgrade for the offense. Baker, Sam, and PJ looked pretty good and comfortable in the offense. Matt Corral looked like he was a little too anxious out there. Granted, he was playing behind the third and fourth string offensive line and some unheard of skill position players. but I'm looking for better production from him next week in New England. Baker definitely looked in command of the offense for only having to be in the offense for 3 to 4 weeks. I wanted to see better production and better protection and consistency from the offensive line, and I did. But like you said, the Michael Jordan experience needs to be over. Man, it's like
Done with.
when he came in on that first possession when Baker was quarterbacking and he was playing left guard, and Brady Christensen was the left tackle. You saw where the pressure was coming from. Like any pressure that Baker was getting was predominantly coming from that over that left guard position. Now, Pat Eiflin had a mishap there too, a little bit, but it wasn't nothing nothing too drastic. You know what I mean? And then when Michael Jordan came in on the second drive, when Sam Darnold took over quarterback, he played right guard and had Cam Irving playing right tackle. Now I don't know why, in God's good name, did they think that that was a okay right side to put on the field. That was a prime example as to what your problem was last year when you started Michael Jordan at left guard and Cam Irvin at left tackle. That
Say
was
it again. Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back.
man, it was a joke. It was a joke, and all I had was flashbacks. It was like flashback to 2021 all over again. Cam Irvin needs to retire to the old folks home. I'm just done with that. The first and second team defense played pretty good. We did have two takeaways and caused a three and out on the first possession for the defense. The defense looked very basic, which was expected. I call it my tidy whitey edition. In the first game, like that first preseason game, you ain't gonna be showing too much. You just basically getting your feet wet. So that's the tidy whitey edition. Second preseason game, you might throw on some boxer shorts, some boxer briefs, show a little something. You feeling yourself. That second game, that third game, now you might throw on a little lingerie, show a little some exotic blitzes and some stunts and some pressure, some things that you ain't, haven't shown thus far in the preseason. But now, you gearing up for the first regular season game of the season. But we don't want to show too much. Defensively, we got stops when needed and put the offense in good field position most of the game. So I was happy about that. Johnny Hecker is a whole weapon on special teams. He had 3 punts, and I believe they were for like 150 yards, which equate to a 50-yard average. Being able to flip the field with a punter like that is a plus for us going forward. Old man Hanson, that's JJ Hanson, so he still got some juice left in him. He had a couple of tackles on special teams. Now you don't want to see a long snapper downfield making plays too often, but he is a vet, so it is to be expected from him. We also had some drafted players and undrafted players that showed some promise on both sides of the ball. I was especially happy with what I saw from like Amari Barno, Duke Dawson, Tay Hayes, and those guys. But offensively, what did you see, you know, from the offense? Can you give us a little recap on that?
Well, from the offense, I like Baker's command of it on that first drive. I think he knew where he wanted to go. Albeit there were a couple protection mishaps and that one play at the end where him and Zilstra were not on the same page. I think Baker thought Zilstra was going to cut towards the sideline, and Zilstra kept going down the field towards the end zone. And
Right.
Baker had that one mishap with Eiflin in the handoff on the snap. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I remember
And
that.
yeah, it had that fumble. And I think that kind of derailed the drive. But you know, if that's going to be, how Baker looks going forward, if he can build on that and continue, once they start implementing offensive game plans, once they start watching film and scouting the next team, I think that's a good sign. I think that'll be something good going forward. Sam Darnold got in the game, albeit he only had to go 20 yards, but, he
He
made a
scored a
play.
touchdown though.
He scored a touchdown with the defensive end in his face. Icky, I don't want to say he made a mistake on that play per se. He
Right,
kind of he got beat, but it was one of them situations where if Sam had stepped up in the pocket, he may not have got that close to him.
right.
But I like what Icky did overall. I think he was solid, and he even said after the game his physicality is there, and now he got to make sure that the technique comes along with it,
Yeah, I definitely feel
but
like he played a pretty solid game.
yeah, he did. But Sam looked out for him, and he threw a very nice pass, right over Shad Higgins' shoulder and caught him right on the fingertips, and he pulled that in
Yeah,
for the
that now
touchdown.
the pass was beautiful. That was
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
Yeah, it was. And then the second string offense came in with PJ Walker.
Right, right.
And his first drive, looked okay. Then he started moving the ball. But one thing he did that irked me at the end of the first half was when he rolled out and it was 4th and 2. So
Doing
when
what
he
PJ
rolled
do.
out, yeah, when he rolled out, the linebacker for Washington kind of fell back in coverage because I think he thought there was somebody behind him that he could throw to. It
Right.
opened up everything from shoot that first down that he had to get and probably 5 yards past that. And
Yeah.
instead of taking that first down, getting out of bounds, you know, he threw this ill-advised pass down the field that thank goodness it wasn't picked off, but it was
That
just
burns
when you look
me
at it,
up when he do that.
yeah. When you look at it, that was not a pass he should have thrown at all whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the reason why I say that is because he could have got the first down, got out of bounds. Zane Gonzalez could have came in. That could have been an easy 3 points right before the halftime. I'm sorry, right before
Yep.
halftime.
Yep.
And being that our third team offense really couldn't move the ball, and Sam Howell got in the game for the Commanders and engineered, two touchdown drives. So, and if it wasn't for those two penalties that Washington had in that last drive, we would have never been in a position to kick the game winning field goal, and it may
Right.
not have come to that, if we'd had them other 3 points that we could have if he would have just got the first down, stepped out of bounds, and then lined Zane up for a field goal. But, that's stuff that, got to work on. And I kind of feel bad for PJ, in general because he
Why's
looked
that?
good out there. He looked good, but I think he's going to be the odd man out when all this is said and done.
Yeah, yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, Carolina's not going to carry four quarterbacks onto the regular season roster. I mean, you're going to
Yeah,
have Sam and Baker. Pretty much they're going to be your active players, and Matt Corral is going to be inactive, which is going to put him on the practice squad, which he needs that time.
yeah, especially after watching that game, he definitely needs that time because he looked rattled. He looked like he couldn't focus. There was one play, Keith Kirkwood, when he got
Right,
laid out near the end of the game, and I'm not gonna put that all on Matt Corral, but luckily Kirkwood was fine, and I think he would have gone back in the game if they needed him. But yeah, he looked like he's got a long way to go, and then I had to laugh because I'm looking at Sam Howell on the other side of the field, and I'm like, well, maybe we should have picked up Sam Howell, but that's a story for another episode. But let me know your thoughts on the offense from the preseason game.
Okay, well, basically, what you said about Baker, I was very impressed with how he moved the first team offense down the field with efficiency. Even though we only came away with 3 points, he was 4-7 for like 45 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions as well. He did have that snap fumble that he recovered. That you mentioned earlier, that miscommunication between him and Pat Affline, but he also showed a good command of the offense, which to me is a positive sign. You know, um, a person that stood out to me yesterday was, and I was glad to see it, was wide receiver Shy Smith, showing some consistency from the slot, and he had a productive night. I think he had like 2 receptions for 34 yards. Uh, his biggest thing is staying healthy. That would be a big plus for him. With CJ Saunders out right now with a quad injury, he has the chance to step up and step in, to that number one slot receiver position. I loved how Baker was looking for Shy on third downs, and he hit him with 2 completions that resulted in first downs. So I was definitely impressed by that. Uh, Baker also showed that he was going through his progressions, going through his reads, and he was being quick about it, being decisive, and putting the ball in good spots for the wide receivers. Another player that caught my attention that I think had a decent night was the undrafted wide receiver Derek Wright out of Utah State. He had himself a productive day. I think he had like three receptions for like 40 or 45 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Chuba Hubbard had a solid game. Not big yards, but he had just like 4 carries for 11 yards. And the main thing that I was particularly looking for throughout the whole game, especially the first few drives, I wanted to see how well the offensive line was going to look. And I think they were solid, but they definitely need improvement and more time to jail, which that's going to come with more time as the preseason goes along. Next week, they do have that preseason game with New England, but they had that joint practice with the Patriots as well. So they're going to get a lot of work in the preseason, in the practice, and then in the preseason game, they should get some work there as well. So, what did you think about the defense? Give me some feedback on the defense. What did you see from them last night?
First team defense, they did their thing. They held the Commanders to 3-and-out, and they looked good. Second team defense got in the game, and they showed a consistent lack of pressure. You could see it when they got in the game. Carson Wentz was just throwing the ball down the field on them.
Yes,
Brandon Robinson, I believe is his name, from Alabama, that they drafted. And I think
Brian Robinson.
Brian
Yeah,
Robinson. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a good back for them. He found some open holes and got some yardage and ended up getting the touchdown. But yeah, they showed a lack of pressure. They missed a lot of tackles. Especially there was one play where the receiver caught it down the field, and I promise you, he carried like two of the Panthers defensive back for about maybe 5 to 10 yards. And that
yeah.
might have been later on in the game. That might not have been the second team defense. But you could tell um it was a difference when the second team defense first came on. I think they were still playing Washington starters. And then that's when they led that drive down the field and score with Brian Robinson.
Right.
Then Taylor Heineke got in the game, and I think that's when they put in, their reserves. And the defense played solid, most of the second quarter, third quarter, and then the third and fourth string defense, they just looked out of sorts. They, like I said, they were gassed. They were
Completely
completely
out of
gassed.
gas. No
And
breaks.
Sam Howell, my bad. Sam Howell just lit them up. I think I was trying to mash up Sam Howell and Sam Darnold.
Right.
you know, I,
Right. I was
but
I was gonna let you live. I'm gonna let you live on that one. I ain't got nothing to say.
hey, but but Sam Howell got in the game and just drove the ball up and down the field. I mean, he juked one of the linebackers right out of his shoes, right on his way into the end zone. But I think like I was saying, they ran vanilla defenses, and that's what Coach Rule said. I think they wanted to see everybody how they fared, with matchups one on one, especially
Right.
like the defensive line. Now, in even in that fourth quarter, they sacked Howell, I think once or twice. So they did get some pressure at times, but
Yeah.
you could tell they were just they were not in you know football shape just yet. You can tell they've been out there, they've been in training camp, they've been practicing and whatnot, but they were gassed. But overall, I think the defense did good. You see, like you mentioned, Duke Dawson had the interception. He made some plays. Xavier Woods had a nice pass breakup in the first quarter that was going to be a first down, and my man bobbled it, and he came through, swiped up, and knocked the ball away.
Yeah, that wa-
You know,
that was a beautiful defensive play on. I saw that one.
yeah. And then
I
you
saw
had
that one.
I think it was it Jeremy Chin that caused the fumble, and then Amari Barno picked it up. Or
Yes.
did yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he caused the fumble, and Barno he picked it up. And we had some turnovers, and I think that's a positive. I think that's something that we can build on, going forward. Because like last year, they had a stat up there, and they were saying, we ended up being the second ranked defense in the league. And I think that was let me see. Was it total yards allowed? We
Yeah.
ranked second.
Total yards allowed, and I think we was like third or fourth, like in total pass yards allowed.
Yeah. But then the top of the screen, the top stat was we were like in the oh god, we were like 25th or below in points allowed.
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you, you know what I
And
mean?
like 25th and below in red zone efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as a byproduct of the offense potentially getting better, hopefully that will turn into the defense not being put into so many situations where the offense just turned the ball over, and now they're already in the red zone on defense. You
Right.
know, that really stood out to me. I'm like, we were second in yards allowed, but we were in like the bottom, third of the league in points. But my
Yeah.
thing is, they didn't have to go that far. When I say they, I mean other teams. They didn't have to go that far, to score, especially when we were turning the ball over so much. You
That's
know,
why that's why I think we're going to see a big difference in this year. But that's why I believe with Johnny Hecker, being the punter for us this year, flipping the field, getting better field position for the defense, a more consistent quarterback play at the quarterback position and offense in general. I'm hoping, I'm hoping, and I'm hoping that the offense is not going to put the defense in the positions that they were in last year, because last year was, how can I say it in a nice way, that was not it.
terrifying.
Terrifying, exactly. They were put in positions constantly that you don't ever want to see your defense in, and no wonder they always look gas, because they were always on the field.
Yeah, exactly. They were always on the field. But yeah, but that stat just blew my mind that we were second in, total yards allowed, and were that far down in points. I was taken back by that one. But
Yeah.
what's your overall impression of defense from yesterday?
Oh, well, for me, the defense came out and they played with a lot of energy and focus, especially with the first team defense pretty much. We had some players that were out, like Shaq Thompson. Uh we didn't have Derek Brown. I think Matt Ioannidis played that first series, and that was it for him. So, basically the second and third team defensive linemen played a lot more than they were probably accustomed to even in practice and in training camp right now. But when they were in there, the first half, the first part of the third quarter, they looked pretty good. Again, like I said, the defense got stops on the first drive. It was a three and out, which was good to see. The two first half turnovers, we had the one interception by Duke Dawson and the one fumble recovery by Amari Barno. And speaking of Amari Barno, he was responsible for both turnovers. He recovered a fumble that Jeremy Chin caused, and then he applied the pressure on the quarterback that caused him to overthrow or underthrow the receiver and threw it right into a Duke Dawson arm.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very impressed with Duke Dawson and Amari Barno, Brendan Smith, and Tay Hayes. I think all four of those guys had very impressive nights. Um, Amari Barno, I heard, I believe it was Shaq Thompson that called him Brian Burns 2.0. And they got me to thinking. I'm
Yeah, he
like, you know
did.
what? He's about like Brian Burns. He, 6'5", 245, 250 when he came into the league, slender bill. He's faster than Brian Burns. That's without a doubt. But if he can stay in Brian Burns' ear and grow, Brian Burns is there to help him grow. Like I said, he get a little stronger. Maybe over time he put on another 5 to 10 pounds because 245 as a defensive end is just really not going to get it. You need at least be carrying at least 255. Um, Brandon Smith, I was impressed with him last night as well. Especially playing the Mike linebacker position. He had some good stops. Tay Hayes, he did pretty good. He had a couple pass breakups and a couple of good solid tackles. But the one thing, and we had this conversation a while back when we was talking about the draft picks when Barno and Brandon Smith were drafted. The one thing that I saw last night that I brought to your attention then, I was like, both of them like to arm tackle too much. They need to get away from the arm tackle. They need to become more sure tacklers and just lay the wood to somebody. You know what I mean? But other than that, those four guys had a very impressive night. Uh I was a little concerned that we didn't have no first team defensive sacks. We definitely need to see better pressure up front, especially from the second and third team guys. I think that the defensive line may need some more depth up front. We need better production going forward from the second and third team. So that's a position that I will keep an eye out on when it gets close to cut down day, when they start trimming the roster and picking players for the practice squad, getting ready for, the regular season. But other than that, like I said, better production from them going forward and, you know, need more depth, for the second and third team. So check
Yeah,
this out.
I definitely agree.
Now you know what I want to bring up and what I want to talk about now, don't you?
Come on with it.
Fantasy football. So I want to just let everybody know that two fans in the stands have their own fantasy football league through ESPN, and this coming weekend is our draft. I believe we already have to the 12 slots filled up. We initially was going to do 10. I think there were two other people that still wanted to get in. So you expanded it to 12. So now we have a 12 team
Yep.
PPR league. I mean, and those slots went quick. I think like within the first couple hours, you had them all filled.
Yeah,
But I
sure
was
did.
looking, I was looking at the website, the website for the fantasy team, and I happened to notice who I play week one. You have any clue who that could be?
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna catch that L by me.
Oh, that's how. Oh, so you want all the smoke? Is that what you're saying?
All of it. Bring it
Oh,
on.
that's cool. Hey, since you want all the smoke, I'm coming with a fire truck with no water. So you know what that mean, right? You know what that mean, right? Yeah, yeah. When you pick up that phone and dial 911
Oh
and look
man.
for a little help, they gonna tell you, sir, the fire department is already outside. You gonna look outside, and I'm just gonna be looking at you, and you know what? I'm be like, hey, ain't nothing I can do for you, bro. I'm just gonna sit back and just joyfully watch everything just burn down. Cause that's how I'm coming, dog. I'm coming to burn
Mm-hmm.
the house down. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna digress. I ain't
Hey, oh,
gonna.
oh, oh, no, 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 no. No, we're not gonna digress. We're not gonna digress at all. I'm gonna take this clip out and I'm gonna play it after that first game. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, please do. I want you to. I
All
want you
right, I
to.
got you.
Don't forget it.
I won't.
Hey, take a Kodak picture of it, screen print it, whatever you need to do. Just remember what I told you now. I ain't no This ain't no
Uh-huh.
easy win. This is not no easy win. That's all I
I
want to
know. I
say.
mean, well, we ain't even drafted yet, but since you started this, I have no choice but to finish it. It's my obligation. I love to talk smack. If you come with it, I'm coming back with it too.
Well, then there it is. Then I guess it's game on. Then
Game on.
all right. Well, everyone, that would do it for us this week. Next week's opponent is the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Until then, we out.
Thank you for listening to Two Fans in the Stands podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to us on your favorite podcast apps such as Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Tune in next week for another episode.